feel the closest to God when I paint and when I make art. And I feel like that's because there's a parallelism between creators and God, but also because, you know, I view God as an artist and myself as its art piece. I view all of us, everything that we're experiencing is all a part of God's art. And I think it's kind of a funny notion to think that, like, as I'm painting, you know, maybe there's a bit of me that wants to prove I exist in every painting I create, every art piece I create. I hope that when I'm not physically here, it outlives me, so it's proof that I existed. And I feel like maybe God is the same way.
Same thing.
Yeah, maybe God is just really trying to, like, experience itself and prove its existence.
That's
by
kind of
creating.
deep, bro.
It's scary.
What it is, my lifers. Welcome to another episode of the Life After Podcast. Y'all already know who it is. It's your boy Flo.
What's good? What's good, y'all? It's your boy Mick James. Tap in. Let's go.
Yeah. What's happening, y'all? I'm Choice. Good to be here.
Yeah, and we in for some real deep diving, scuba diving, whatever. We diving deep today. That's what I meant.
Excavate.
But anyways, listen, y'all stay tuned. We'll be right back after this little short intro, all right?
You are tuning in to the Life After Podcast.
Life After Podcast. Remember, Life After.
The Life After Podcast.
Life After Podcast, baby. Woo! Don't you miss out.
What it is, my lifers. Welcome back. Oh, man. Y'all are not ready for what's about to happen, but it's about to happen. So you gotta get ready regardless. All right, today we have a very special guest. You already saw him. His name is Choice. What's up, my brother? How you feeling?
What's up, yo? It's cool. It's cool to be here, man. It's cool to talk to you guys.
Likewise.
We always kick it on such a positive vibe outside of this that it's cool to be sharing it with everybody at home or wherever you guys are at. I think you'll hopefully pick up on a lot of cool stuff.
Yes, sir, man. And bro, I'm not gonna lie. Ever since I met you, you just always gave me that chill, relaxed, that comfortable, that trusting vibe. You know what I mean? That's not really hard. It's not really easy to run across these days we living in now. We know what times we living in. Matter of fact, how you feel about the times we living in?
Oh my God. It makes me wonder what is time and what is living. You know what I mean? I feel like I feel really blessed to have been born at the time that I was born in, because I got to see the transition between like the old school era before technology and before the internet to like where it is now, and even socially, like where everything went at. I feel like you know what I'm talking about. You may not know what I'm talking about.
Man, I know what you're talking about a little bit.
You know,
Young
yeah, like
y'all about the little bro me right now.
Like
I'm not gonna let that.
how much do you remember of I guess like before the internet became like in your palm?
So the iPhone came out when I was in 5th grade.
Word.
When I was in 5th grade, the iPhone came out. Maybe 4th grade, but around that time, 10, 11 years old. So I grew up in the era of like, you know, watching TV, still having VHS tapes, still, you know, going outside. I had the old, you know, TV with like the bent fucking screen and things like this. So I remember times of pre-internet, but once I got into like puberty and once I really started getting like a social network, that's when social networks started popping up. Kids started getting Instagram, things like this.
I feel that. And, you know, I feel like you can actually like pick that up from people, because what you were talking about, like just off rip saying like when I met you, you gave me an authentic version of yourself. I think that that's because like you or like all of us, like we come from that time where you didn't have any like online personality to fall back on. You developed yourself in real life, and then you developed yourself online, if anything.
Absolutely.
And now it kind of seems backwards, where it's like people are like, you don't know who I am, you know, as opposed to being like, let me show you who I am.
And then the crazy thing about it, and I want to dive deep into what we got going on, but I'm gonna say this right here, like the thing about the times we're living in now is like the people who you know, they're mostly like on this social media platform. That's like what you know about them. And people actually use that as credibility to who a person really is. And when you meet them, they're nothing like that person.
Yeah.
Like sometimes they don't look like that person. Like they got all these filters on, plus more filters with makeup.
Yeah.
And it's like, it's just so much layers, you know, you got to peel back before you meet a real person. And I think that's what we're dealing with today. We don't see the same thing. Kids don't come outside and play. We don't see like family getting together and kind of like being more community. I don't see that no more. I remember in my neighborhood, like we know everybody on the block.
Yeah.
And everybody know us. And you get caught doing something bad, just know Tyrone mama gonna tell my mama.
Yeah, it's kind of beautiful. It's like the whole like a village, you know, it takes a village to raise a child kind of thing. I think that's long gone, bro. Like the village mentality, the village feeling. Everybody's so afraid nowadays. Like I think everybody's like borderline on a breaking point, whether it's like financially, mentally, spiritually, physically. But yeah,
What are they running from?
The end of the world.
That's not
As
good.
we know it. No, man, honestly, like I feel like, and I guess we'll talk more about it as we talk about my art. We really are at like such a changing point, you know, with where we're realizing that the old ways of living life, kind of just like consumerism and doing what you needed to do, we're seeing how it's affecting everything. It's affecting the entire world. It's affecting the planet. And if we don't have some kind of huge reconciliation, we're gonna face extinction. But that's a positive way to start things, isn't it?
Nah, it is, man. We need to hear it. We need to be reminded of what issues is at hand right now. You know what I mean? So, I mean, people can run away from it. They don't want to hear it. They want to cover their ears and run to maybe social media and scroll instead. But, that's why we're on social media now, because you're gonna scroll and you're gonna see us talking about this.
Damn right. So. Just Trojan horse, you guys.
No, yeah, I feel like the main danger of it is distraction though. Because like you can use these things for a positive, for to grow yourself and to have more information. We're in a pool of infinite information, right? We have every library that's ever been created in existence. We have every spiritual book at our fingertips. Before you had to like go through so many steps to get some information. Now it's right here. But the fact is, like you were saying, you don't really know what's the truth. You don't know, does this girl really look like this? Is she catfishing me? Is this really for real? Or is he just putting up a front? Like, so I think it's just kind of the fact that we're moving into the future is kind of reinforcing the old ways, but the ancient ways of what we were doing.
Yeah, I feel
of
that.
just like simplicity and community and coming through and coming together and just like being just knowing when you see truth. And that's super important now because you have so much information that you have to sift through that you have to be like, all right, you got to leave a lot at the door.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You have to have a really good filter of like what you bring in and how you use these tools. You know what I mean? Like you could use ChatGPT just to like cheat on your homework.
Yeah,
or
straight up.
you could use it to like upgrade your mind. You could use YouTube just to distract yourself, or you could use it to like, educate yourself and like, have new thought patterns and things like this.
Absolutely. No, absolutely. So listen, with that being said, it's time to dive into choice.
Yeah.
We had a choice and we made it, right?
There you go. You made the right choice.
Let's go.
Hopefully.
We made
We'll
the right choice. Listen. So who are you, man? Like, what's your story? Like,
yeah, what a
come on,
great
talk to me.
question. Let's all take a moment to reflect. No, well, as you guys know, I'm Choice. I'm a visual artist. I have been doing art. It's such a funny word to use, as an artist. I've been making pieces for as long as I can remember. Like before I could even write, I was drawing. And now I'm a tattoo artist as well as like just an overall visual artist. We met at a Black Clover where I'm doing a mural. I have a couple of other murals around, and I'm more recognized for my art online, which deals with veganism and environmentalism and also animal rights and different topics like that. So I've had the pleasure of working with like big companies, or not companies, but organizations like PETA and other platforms and movements that are just, I feel like on the right edge of pushing things in a good direction. But
That's good. I mean, like, so these art, it's crazy because this is some dope art. Like,
Thanks, man.
They can't
Thank you.
see it, and I'm not gonna lie. I'm probably gonna take some pictures if you're good with that.
Yeah, yeah.
Let the people see some of your art, man, because it's dope. And you did all of this?
Yeah, man. Yeah, all this, and this is just like the tip of the iceberg, bro. I have a whole catalog of work that I couldn't even fit in this whole place if I tried to. But yeah, this is a nice little fraction of it,
Yeah, and before we even go on, I need you to explain that one because I don't know what I think about that one.
Oh, wait, this one?
Yeah.
Yeah. You can see it.
I like it. It's dope art. I just want to understand it.
Yeah,
I'm pretty sure it's an interesting story.
It's funny because I probably painted this one a couple years back. I call it Totem. And really, it's a piece that symbolizes Mother Nature and the idea of this maternal figure. I always like showing maternity, whether it's like with a big stomach or breasts, but you can see that she's holding a buffalo skull, a bison skull above her, which represents like keeping nature, and a human skull kind of where the ovaries are, which is kind of cool because when you look at like the setup of the ovaries and the uterus, it actually like maps over the skull pretty perfectly. So there's always like a cool, almost like surrealistic aspect of overimposing things. And yeah, man, so just this idea of keeping humans in balance with nature, but also not having one dominate the other. And I actually paint on top of it. It looks like black, but it's not black. It's purple, brown, and blue mixed, which is I actually never paint with black, the actual color purple, black,
brown, and blue,
because it doesn't exist in nature.
Nah, but that's interesting because like in nature, the combination of all colors is black.
Totally.
Right? Yes. If you mix like the soil and the sea and the earth, you're gonna get black. Versus if you're playing with light and you mix all the colors, like a screen, a RGB screen with all the colors turned on is gonna be white. You know what I mean? So it's interesting, that dichotomy, and it's interesting that you know, make your own black, because that's your own tone. You feel me,
dude? I'm telling you. And if there's any artists watching this, like, you'll see how quickly your work takes more life. Black flattens everything out. It's something about its depth. It has no depth to it. It's just literally on top black. So whenever you see people, it works when you're painting with black and white, but also white doesn't really exist in nature. It's a weird thing, you know. But yeah, it's something that I borrowed from impressionistic painters. None of the impressionist painters painted with black because they were very into like, doesn't exist in nature, we got to do it this way. But you know, yeah. So that's cool that it actually like has that too with computer rendering and stuff like that.
So would you say like with your art you're trying to like mimic creation, like the ultimate creation of Mother Nature? Because you talk about wanting to like have these symbols of maternity, right? And like I feel like Mother Nature is the highest expression of intelligence, because Mother Nature like produces life, and to protect that life, it produces more life around it.
I feel
right. To have a tiger, it makes gazelles, and for these tigers to subsist on, and from that, it makes the trees, and it just like builds up. Versus like, you know, humans operating on like a scarcity mentality of like, well, for me to survive, I have to down him, and his business can't go up, and his thing can't go up. So we're kind of like trying to like gain our life by putting down other life. But the highest form of intelligence is creating all forms of life and lifting all boats. Yeah. You know what I mean? And I feel like a lot of your paintings that I'm seeing like speak to that.
Yeah. I think it's really great that you can make that connection with them, because it feels like, for me, like the art that I do with painting and things like that feels like it's tapping more into like a spiritual message for me that either comes through meditations, dreams, or just feelings that just kind of come about. And I think that that's what connects me back to nature is my art. You know what I mean? It's something about producing the art that connects me back to nature. And it's kind of funny that you said that too, because I feel like there's so many little signatures of God or the higher power, the great architect, or whatever you want to call it. There's so many signatures that let you know, okay, there was a big designer here. Because like you mentioned with the tiger and gazelle, I don't know if you guys knew this. I saw this on some Netflix special, and I was just like dumbfounded by it. So you know why tigers are orange?
No. Why?
Okay, tigers are orange because most of the gazelles that they hunt don't, I guess something in their eye receptors, they can't register orange or red. So when they see a tiger, he's totally camouflaged in the background and everything. Now, how did a tiger develop the intuition to know what its prey could and couldn't see?
Of course.
It didn't. Right. Something designed both of those things to interact in that play. You know, I'm like, I don't know. It's just wild to even think of it like that. Where you're like,
I mean, that even remind me of like what they the reptiles, the one that blends in.
Oh yeah.
Chameleons. Like they just blend in.
Or even octopi.
Oh yeah. No,
and we know for a fact that they don't choose to like change color. And even if they do choose to do that, how in the heck did you get that ability? So it's that designer, that grand designer that
totally
is really overseeing and helping this thing kind of like evolve in the way how it's evolving now, because obviously it is evolving. You know, even animals now are going extinct, and then other animals are also being created.
Yeah.
I don't know if they're being created in the lab You know what I mean? Because at some point I would start to think that man is responsible for some of the creation of life as well too. Not just reproduce or procreation, but like even in the lab.
Yeah.
You know, crossbreeding these animals like how they do with these dogs and these pit bulls now.
Broccoli's man-made. Weird side note: broccoli isn't a natural vegetable. Apparently, they got that from like crossbreeding, like lettuce and like
cauliflower.
Yeah, or I think honestly, cauliflower is questionable too. I'll be so serious, man. But yeah, yo, it's crazy. Like I've found so much. I feel the closest to God when I paint and when I make art, and I feel like that's because there's a parallelism between creators and God, but also because, you know, I view God as an artist and myself as its art piece. I view all of us, everything that we're experiencing is all a part of God's art. And I think it's kind of a funny notion to think that like, as I'm painting, you know, maybe there's a bit of me that wants to prove I exist in every painting I create, every art piece I create. I hope that when I'm not physically here, it outlives me, so it's proof that I existed. And I feel like maybe God is the same way.
Same thing.
Yeah, maybe God is just really trying to like experience itself and prove its existence by creating.
Deep, bro.
It's scary.
Scary deep.
Yeah.
Oh man.
I
Told
mean-
y'all we was going scuba diving.
There you go.
I mean, yeah, bro, we digging for gems right now, and we finding a lot. But I think, you know, consciousness can't really experience itself in a vacuum, right? If you're by yourself in a room, you don't really know who you are until you interact with somebody else who's also conscious. So I feel like that's also part of the logic of like, you know, thinking about all the way back to the original creation and like asking that question why, because, you know, God is always in the why does something happen. Science can a lot of times tell you how or what or who or when, but it can't tell you why. You feel me? Why does the heart beat like it does?
Oh, yeah.
What, you know what I mean? So yeah, I feel like we are all creators, and we are all trying to like connect to that higher source, because we were put here to bring things from our mind and like let it be.
Absolutely.
We're all manifestations of like God's breath and God's voice. So whatever channel you put it through, you know, for you it's your pen, for other people it's their words, for, you know, other people it's, you know, whatever your thing is, that's like your connection to your godliness.
I think that's why like we as a people have always gravitated towards forms of expression, because there is also a signature of God in it. Like when it's true to yourself, like when a human being is out here singing and like really putting their heart and soul into a song, it's literally it's bigger than ego. It's bigger than, you know, desire for materialism. There's like something so raw about it, because it's like them channeling a higher source, a higher vibration through it. And that's why so many people are drawn to drugs and alcohol and all these other things, because we're trying to continuously get out of this state of consciousness. And I would imagine get to a higher one. I don't know. Some people seem to like going to lower ones.
We was having a conversation the other day. You remember about the soul food?
Yep.
And you was can you let the audience hear that one? That one's kind of dope, bro.
I don't really remember the specific thing that we were talking about, but what you were talking about of like the need to like get above where we are right now, like, you know, like Maslow's hierarchy of needs, right? Where at the top it's like self-actualization and reaching your full potential. I feel like that's not what people are really chasing. You know what I mean? Because people wouldn't be drawn to drugs if that's what they're really chasing, their true potential. It's really self-transcendence and getting above yourself, because that's really the essence of our spirit. You feel me? Like we have this dual nature of like the physical and the spiritual, but we're drawn to the spiritual because our essence and like our consciousness is in that. You know what I mean? So can you like speak to the mind state that you're in when you're painting and how it's kind of evolved over the years? Because I'm sure as you've gone through like, you know, spiritual practices and like things like this, it's evolved from when you were a kid and just, you know, doing it naturally out of fun.
Totally.
Yeah.
I definitely, that's such a cool, I've never even thought about it as far as like how the process has developed, because there's always an end in mind, whether I was 2 years old or now 30 years old, there's always an end in mind. You have the vision, you see it, and the steps that it takes to get there, there's like a whole emotional development. And I always tell people, like, you know, whenever they're like, oh, that's amazing, I wish I could paint, I always say, you can. You just have to get through the hurdles of doing the steps and the ugly phases. Because that's the thing, is that like every painting, I always like, every art piece is kind of like life. where it has the vision, you go for it, and then it has an ugly start, or like a visual, what you would call an ugly start, because it's a rough outline. Maybe
the
it's
process.
just, yeah, man. And it's being able to, as I've gotten older, I've learned to accept the process more, but also have faith in everything that brought me to that moment, that it's gonna let me execute the vision how I want to. And that was a huge part that I think you always get tested by your own creation. You're always being like, do I suck? You know what I mean? Like there's always a moment of doubt. There's always a moment of being like, maybe I should stop. Maybe I got in over my head. And then you remember what it was that brought you there to begin with. Like, so if it's something like, if I'm doing a painting of my mom for Mother's Day, it's like, no, this is for my mom. This is but if it's also a drawing talking about why we should kill less cows, it's to save cows. So you remember the reasons that brought you there, which I feel like, as I get older, it becomes more and more profound, and I can totally see why. It's kind of interesting that like most artists that have, I guess, like a solid creation like pattern, they're freaking crazy. They're crazy. So I guess if you ask that same question to somebody like Van Gogh, it would be a completely different, like, it's like, because that's the only way I feel sane. It's,
you know what? Even when you was talking about the manifestating and manifested and just the process of it getting to that thing becoming a reality at its completed stage. So it kind of reminded me of the mural you're doing now at Black Clover, and bro, that whole process from when it started, and you're still not done, are you?
Nope, still not done.
Right. So like when you first started, like I was looking at it like, okay, I don't know, but that's that process you was talking about that people just can't see. You can see it, but other people can't see it. And I remember at one point I looked at her and I was like, bro, she got milk on her lips. I was talking to the group. I was like, man, it look like is that milk?
Should I tell him? Should I tell him that it looks like
And I told him, I was like, yo, I'm definitely gonna tell him. Trust me, I'm gonna let you know. But remember when I did let you know, you was letting me know. Like,
it doesn't look like she has milk on her lips anymore, right?
Nah, definitely don't.
So,
bro, I'm telling you, bro. You guys have to see this man's art. He is a genius.
Thanks, man.
At making art, and because I'm watching the process, you'll come back a day and like do something else, and I'm like, oh snap,
dude. I feel so blessed to have had art be a thing that I see. So this is why I hesitate every time I say the word art, because I think that like everything, they're like archetypes that put something in your mind when you say it. So I feel like when someone goes, I'm an artist, you have like this feel for what they are. But dude, I'm telling you, art has been so much more than just being able to paint or being able to draw. It's allowed me to experience the world and find a place in it.
Absolutely.
And bro, like when I'm painting or when I'm drawing or when I'm tattooing, that is my most whole place. Like that's where I feel entirely like I am where I'm supposed to be.
Of course.
And it's kind of like magic. It feels very like almost like a possession where it's just all of a sudden all I know is that I just have to be there and just keep it going. Just keep it going, keep it going, keep it going. And then at some point, like freaking a piece of bread popping out of the toaster goes, doop, done. And you step back and you go, oh yeah, cool, that was great. How long did that take? Oh, only 10 years. Awesome.
Yeah.
But yeah,
okay, let's break you down. We're about to break you down.
Yeah, break it down.
First of all, we have to understand this name thing.
Yeah.
Choice. I never met a Choice before. Someone close, Chance,
the
rapper, and I haven't even met him. Like was just one of my favorite artists at a point. So like, how did you get the name Choice?
Yeah, so I mean, even though you've never met a choice, we've all made a choice. And I'll be honest, I adopted the name probably around 21 years old. And I had just gone through a whole battle with depression, honestly, man. And I was locked in my bed, didn't leave a room for a year. I was recovering from dropping out of college and basically having my whole future just wiped clean, every plan that I made. And because of that, I had a big identity crisis and wasn't drawing, wasn't painting, wasn't making any art, wasn't making any music. But one thing that I knew was that no one was going to get me out of it but myself.
Right.
And it felt more and more like it was time to make the decision. And I guess like that idea of waking up every day and going, okay, I'm still stuck in this hole. Like, what's it going to take? Is anybody going to save me? No. So then I started to literally, I just overnight was like, yo, we all have a choice. I have a choice in this. I can choose to live my life like this. I can choose to be sad every day, or I can choose to wake up and if not be happy, right? Because that's like impossible to just flip the switch, make the attempt, you know? And I wanted it to be embodied by my life. So I was like, if I go by it, I'll remind myself every time I introduce myself,
Yep.
you know, hi, I'm Choice. And then it'll be like, that's right, I have a choice. And then hopefully do the same for somebody else, you know?
Absolutely.
That like when I introduce myself as, hi, I'm Choice, they go, damn, that's right, I do have a choice. So maybe I'll choose to, you know, do something positive as opposed to like, I don't know.
Yeah.
So what's your real name?
It's Yates.
Do you identify with that name?
Yeah, man, I resonate with it, but I'll be honest, I resonate with it the same way. It's my childhood, you know. It's something that my mom still calls me Yates, so it's kind of funny because then we'll be like in a public space, and everyone knows me as Choice. I've been going by it for 10 years now. So when my
Long
mom's
live
like,
Yates.
yeah, keep it running. So you know when my mom's like, oh yeah, that Yates is my son, they're like, lady, I still have no idea who you're talking about. But it's I feel like we all are given a name, and it's so funny because a name is something like we were talking about archetypes before. They carry a certain energy to them, of
course.
and then it's like, dude, you're so much bigger than the name your parents gave you. They gave you that name because of whatever reason. Like I'm Yates because my grandmother's maiden last name was Yates, but no offense, I know my grandma. I don't know anybody before her. So I'm carrying this name that I actually have no experiential attachment to.
Of course.
But Choice, I know who Choice is. I know who Choice is when I think in my head, okay, he's the guy that's going to wake up every day, try to move forward, try to be positive, you know, making art, making friends.
Yeah,
Yates is cool, though.
I mean, it almost sounds like, I mean, that was obviously a very pivotal point in your life, right? It almost sounds like you had an awakening, right? Like you were like playing out all these like things that were attached to your past, attached to like generational curses and trauma, or just generational, you know, just what's in your genes and what you came to this earth with. And you were just playing that stuff out. And you got to a breaking point where it was like, you had to make a choice, and you had to like flip that switch, and you had to like, you know, choose your own direction. And like fully jumping into the world, being an artist is like a very hard decision.
Yeah.
You feel me? It's like you got to have full faith and trust in your abilities and yourself, and be okay if things go bad, if things go good. So, I mean, what was that decision like of like, when you made that choice, was it like, all right, I'm gonna be an artist. I'm gonna go here. I'm gonna go at this 100%, or was that something that, you know, you kind of like found at another point? Like how did that happen?
That's a great question, bro.
Yeah.
But it's story time. If you guys can hang with it,
Hey,
all right. if you can
I got
hang
my
with it, 'cause
cocoa.
it's-
Let's go.
So, in my sophomore year of high school, I went to this high school called Dash, and it was like specifically a design magnet school.
Yeah.
So I studied architecture there, and was planning on going to college for architecture. And in my head, you know, you're given like this kind of format of like, all right, you got to get a good job, you got to make a good living, you got to do all these things. And I always knew that I was an artist. Like I always knew that really what I wanted to do was just paint, just to kind of go crazy and create some stuff, whatever I was feeling. Right. And but I had like this, you know, be realistic in the back of my head. So I applied for a bunch of art colleges. I got accepted to all of them, and I applied for one architecture college. But the one architecture college I applied for was like the Harvard of them all. It was called Cooper Union, and I got a full ride scholarship, and it was in New York City. So I had to go, you know what I mean? And it was strange. It was strange. First off, like preface, I think that what we do to people at 18 years old to be like, you're a man or a woman or you're an adult now, get out of the house and go experience the world, but also go to school and study is like this total, it doesn't make any sense because you're letting someone out for the first time by themselves without the support system that they had their entire life. And you're also telling them to experience the world, but at the same time, don't experience too much of it because you also have to get good grades. And for me, man, I went to New York City and I wanted to experience the world and I couldn't because I was stuck drawing buildings. And taking engineering class.
Architecture.
Nailed it, man. And, you know, respect to that craft because obviously I'm in a home, so it's necessary, but I knew it wasn't who I was. So I started hanging out with the art kids, man.
Yeah.
And the art kids did drugs.
Oh,
and I've smoked before, but not like that. And I started experimenting with some drugs, man. And I had one really bad experience, bro. I had one really bad experience that got me really hyper paranoid. And I went back to my dorm at the time, and I like.
Wait, what happened?
Oh well, I'll be honest, bro. I smoked DMT and didn't know it was DMT, but that's off. I don't know. You know what I mean? I'm like, I don't know if I'm supposed to say that, but no, like this is like all experiential stuff. And I think this happens to a lot of people, especially during that age where you're experimenting with things out of peer pressure. And the brain chemistry, everybody's brain chemistry is different. So kids, listen to yourself. You know what I mean? Take things when you're ready to take things and experiment with things, but always there's a consequence for everything, bro. Nobody walks away.
What was the trip that you went through? What was that? What happened?
Yeah, so I mean, this is progressively. I knew that I wanted to leave architecture. I didn't know how. Yeah. Right. So I'm already at this like battle. I miss my family so much. I'm in a completely different state. It's during the winter time. It's my first real winter with snow. There's a lot of stress going on. And at the time, I was like really just kind of like whatever you got, I'll do it. So my friend offered me. I didn't know at the time what it was. It turned out it was DMT, but it was a total. It's hard to call it a hallucinogen, but it is, man. You leave your body. Everything that you can visually see in front of you disappears, and you go into almost like the highest point of a shroom trip where it's just all trippy visuals. But this one was more guided, and it was more of like going through a tunnel. And I watched people die. I watched people give birth. I watched myself break down and rebuild. And then when I came out of it, man, I had this sense of like everything, this interconnectedness, right? It was probably it honestly probably lasted 10 minutes, but it felt like it lasted a lot longer. And I'm here in this like dirty New York apartment, right? When I come back to, and everybody's drinking and having a good time. And I just felt so like, this is totally not where I need to be. This is not who I am. This isn't, I shouldn't even be in this school. I shouldn't even be studying this. And all of a sudden, this is at the time with Blackberries, right? My little Blackberry notification goes off. And I got a threatening text message that was like, thanks for letting me know where you are. I'm going to come see you later on. And I was just, dude, yeah, it was worst timing because, right there, I'm like, and then I got murdered. Like it just all added up. I was like, yeah, of course I get murdered now. So with that anxiety and all this like, oh my God, what's happening? I go back to my dorm, dude. And I tell this dorm security guard like, hey, if anybody comes looking for me, tell them I'm not here. Simple request. Should be a really simple request. For sure. Go study. Yeah. Go, have your little girlfriend over, whatever. Nope. Instead, she went full mama bear mode and she was like, why? What's going on? And I told her, and I was like, hey, I think potentially I have like a bit of a stalker situation. I don't know if they're violent, but it's for sure like showed her the text messages and she was like, yeah, that's crazy. We should do something. We should call somebody. And, at this time, I'm thinking, I just want to go upstairs, lock my room. I don't want to do anything. But she kind of hyped me up. She was like, no, trust me. This is New York City. You don't play with this. So, dude, she calls the cops.
So, wait, you told her what happened, but you left out the DMT part. Oh, man.
Yes, you got it. Yeah, you can't just be like, I'm tripping balls right now, lady. If anyone comes looking for me, tell them I'm fucking upstairs tripping. So, yeah, and, and that's what's sad is that because I couldn't disclose that, I think that if had I disclosed it, maybe she would have been more like, hey, think you're being a little paranoid. Yeah. This is 2010, man. Yeah. I had just watched my friend get arrested by the cops for smoking a roach. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like I just watched him get arrested. So in my mind, I'm thinking like, oh, dude, I can't tell I'm going to get kicked out of college, blah, blah. Dude, the cops come. They look at, the cops are all undercovers, by the way. Like the way they walked in, I was just like, whoa, you guys were here the whole time? Creepy.
Just emerge out the walls.
Yeah, like it was literally like the dorm lady was like, psych, I'm secure, anyway. Yeah. And they were like, yeah, this isn't enough information for us to actually like do anything about it. But if you don't feel safe, you shouldn't stay here. And instead of going, no, I'm gonna thug this out, I was like, dude, what could I do to get out of here? And I thought hospital, right?
You start hyping your own self up.
Yeah, now I'm really hyping myself up. And I'm like, okay, I know how to get into a hospital. Yeah. And I told them, okay, I'm feeling suicidal. And telling them that, dude, that was a life-changing decision. Life-changing decision. Because they brought me into the ambulance. They're like, you sure? I'm like, yeah. Brought me into the ambulance. made a whole scene about it, bro. They had these ambulance doors open right in front of the dorm, so all the kids are coming in and out. They're looking at me, like, "Whoa, what's going on?" They take me to the hospital, man. I'm sitting in that lobby, right, for the hospital, and I'm looking around, and I quickly realized that I fucked up. I'm looking at this girl, poor soul. She has her wrist wrapped, you know. There's one guy rocking back and forward, and I'm like, oh my god, I just 5150'd myself. I'm in a mental hospital, you know. And I'm reading this cute little plaque on the wall. It's like, you know, this is a treatment facility. You're not here against your will. You can leave whenever you want. So after reading that, I'm like, all right, cool, I'm out. So I walk over this yellow line, and the security guard who was there at the hospital was like, dude, you shouldn't walk over that. Man, I'm like, well, I'm reading the plot. You know, here I am. I'm young. I'm 18. I'm ambitious, bro. I just got into a full ride college. I'm feeling good. Yeah. And I'm like, nope, this is my right. I can leave. I made a mistake. Before I know it, I got 3 guys on top of me, and one of them takes a sedative syringe and sticks it right into my neck, dude, man, and hits me. And I remember crying because I was so shocked that these people just physically suppressed me. You know what I mean? Didn't care at all, bro. Like, put that needle in me like I was a dog. Like, I was like, you could have nicked the vein. Anyway, and I remember wobbling back and forward a couple moments later, and the guy being like, you should really lay down. You're going to hurt yourself. Next thing I know, I'm waking up in the middle of the night to a doctor asking me all these questions. I didn't realize that at some point in the middle of the night, they asked me what drugs I was on. I told them about the DMT. Oh, wow. And and I told them about the spice thing, too, because at the time, everybody was smoking spice, which is super bad. You remember that?
Of course.
Wasn't that crazy?
That was the probation drug.
Yeah, man.
If you're on probation.
Yo, you could buy $10 of that from the corner store, and it was... Yeah. I remember people would put whole joints filled with this synthetic weed, and it would pop when you smoked it. It was the most... I can't believe... That stuff, the fact that they had that legal and they were selling stuff makes me second guess everything that's actually legal right now and being like, so, you know what I mean? Like, yeah, sure. But anyway, bro, they kept me in there for 3 days and didn't tell me what time it was, didn't tell me what day it was. They let me talk to my mom, and I let my mom know that, like, it wasn't gravy, like that I was bad off. She came to New York literally for that. Mm-hmm. And my last day, I had this doctor come in, and he asked me, he's like, so I just want to ask you, do you think you're normal?
What kind of question is
right?
that?
Like, just like that, cold. You think you're normal? And I was like, yeah. Mm-hmm. Well, you're not. You're not. Shit. And he said, you actually have grandiosity.
Whoa, did he ran any type of, like, how did he diagnose you with that? Did he ran a test on you or something?
They asked me questions in my
while
sleep.
You was on
in my sleep as I'm coming down from this whole experience. Also, you know, they I do remember getting like a CAT scan, maybe, you know, when they put you in the tube. Like they did blood work on me.
That's the normal.
Yeah, dude, they did a bunch of weird stuff, man. But honestly, it was the questions. I remember them asking me certain questions like, do you think you're special? Do you think God has a special plan for you? Do you believe in God? When you listen to music, do you feel sometimes like the music is like telling you something? When you watch movies, do you feel like, you know, like these very arbitrary, almost borderline, like, yeah, duh, I'm an artist. You know what I mean? Like, this is literally what I do. Like, I get inspiration from the way the wind blows.
So wait, they told you have
grandiosity.
What the hell is that? I still haven't heard of that before.
Yeah, no, apparently it's like a form of narcissism in which the person who has it thinks of themselves as being better than, grander than actual reality. So they have a perception of grandiosity of themselves or a situation that isn't quote unquote real. And dude, at first I was like, all right, this guy's talking smack. But as he started explaining it to me, I actually started to sit back and go, you mean to tell me that I don't know how to draw? You mean to tell me that I'm not?
He had you questioning yourself.
Everything, bro. He with that one diagnosis, this guy in a white coat made me question not just myself, man, but everyone else around me who had invested in me up until that point. My parents, my teachers, my friends, everybody who had believed in me and my art. All of a sudden I'm thinking, is this all just like I'm a crazy guy on a crazy run, and this guy just stopped me? You know what I mean? And bro, it broke me. I remember getting It was crazy because after he diagnosed me, I went to the cafeteria to have my lunch, and I'm drawing. And this sweet woman, there's like a nurse, she came over and she's like, "Hey, handsome, what you working on?" She looks at my drawing. She's like, "Oh my God, this is amazing." And even then, I was just like,
Is it?
oh, yeah. I was like, dude, is she messing with me? Like, is this real? It felt surreal. It felt so surreal to be like, potentially everything. And I didn't know to what extent it was real or wasn't real. Right. So they give me my, they discharged me to let me walk out. And I'm walking back to my dorm in the snow, man. And I remember that feeling of being like, okay, everything has changed now. Dude, I missed my midterms. So when I got back to the dorm, they were like, "You literally just missed your midterms." And I talked to the principal, and they gave me medical, they left me off on medical leave. And it was during that time, going back home, having to answer all the questions of what happened, what's going on. I locked myself in that room, and I came out. I didn't come out for another year. I didn't go back. I went back to school, and I had a panic attack. I couldn't even walk back into those doors after that year because everything that I had known was gone. You know what I mean? All the confidence I had known was gone. And it left me in a space where I just literally had to be like, I just want to die. And I knew I wasn't going to kill myself, but there was a part of me that was hoping I just would keep on sleeping. Yeah. And dude, eventually I was looking into things. I was trying to find, all right, how do I get out of this? How do I get out of this? How do I get out of this? Dude, I didn't want to go back to a doctor because that's the same guy that just ruined my life. I'm going to go back to him now and let him give me pills. Right. And I started finding things about spirituality. And at the time, it was vegetarianism. Vegetarianism came up. It wasn't veganism yet. It was still too kind of new. And it was this idea of energy and that you could cleanse your energy. You could, raise your vibrations. And this is 2011. So this is right before 2012. So I was like, yo, the world is ending. My world is ending. And right there, bro, I was like, I can either choose to end myself and end my dreams and end everything that everybody invested in me and end possibly a future of helping other people, or I could choose to embrace what was and what is and learn from this, and move forward. It's all about choice, right? So, wow, that was a long story.
No, man, that was cool as hell. And I knew, I just knew that there was something deeper and darker that you went through to make you like who you are now, the way how you express who you are now, and just you have more confidence. Do you still go through like moments of feeling like you have grandiosity?
I honestly do. I do, right?
What?
And what's actually kept me in check is faith. Faith in not just myself, but in other people. I look at the people around me and I think about the things that they've told me. And even what you said earlier about the positivity that we exchange. And I see how much that my energy creates a presence and how all of us are working in this together. And it lets me know, I'm like, yo, even if I am crazy, I'm not hurting anybody. And I'm just trying to enhance,
Man, you're not crazy though.
You're not crazy. You're insane.
Yeah. Nah, but those questions that doctor was asking you was just really blew me out. Like, do you think you have a higher purpose? Do you listen to things and think it's talking to you?
Isn't that sad, bro?
Yeah,
that's
of course.
a problem. Yeah,
of course. How am I supposed to live without a higher purpose? Yeah. How am I supposed to live if I'm not pulling meaning out of things that just on the surface have meaning to them? You know what I mean? That's just like a manifestation of this Western type of mindset, of this industrial mindset where it's just you're just a cog in a machine. Absolutely. You know what I mean? And you just have a function and everything is based on this masculine thinking of you do what you do and you are what you do type thing, instead of just being an experience and actually giving power to that. And he took that away from you in that moment with his, authority and with his high presence of I know better than you who've been living in your body, in your life for these past 18 years. I'm gonna tell you that everything you've been seeing is a lie.
Absolutely, dude.
You got to question everything else, and that puts you for me, that puts me into a state of just of chaos. Honestly, when I have to question every idea that I have, when I have to question my worth, and it freezes you. Yeah, you know what I mean? Because it's this endless loop and this endless cycle. So I mean, it's really powerful that you have this like very deep well, and you dug yourself out of it, and now you can like go back into it and like pull water out of it and like make it into like new creations.
Oh,
So
that's a
like,
beautiful metaphor. I love that.
Yeah.
I love that because you're right. A well is dark and cold and frightening, but if you get out of it, you can totally use it as a source of yeah,
Of
no.
life.
The beautiful thing is you brought yourself out. You found that power within, like that time you was talking about being in that room.
Yeah.
Like I think that's like where a lot of people found themselves. That like metaphorically speaking, that same room for
Yeah,
me
man.
was where I found myself. I got tired of being a freaking question mark.
Yeah.
Walking around here, not agreeing with the logic of my friends, definitely not my parents, and just looking at the world like, okay, I need answers.
Absolutely.
You know, and I had to do kind of like the same thing, go on my own little travel and trust myself to explore and find the right thing.
Yeah.
You know, and I went to the point where I was just exploring with different religions and just different ideologies. I was just doing a lot of study, a lot of research. I was vegan
Word.
at one point. It only lasts 11 months. But
Dude, that's a
Bro.
that's powerful. 11 months is a testament to, like you said, undoing all the things up until that point that you were told you have to eat like this, you have to live like this, you have
Absolutely.
to think like this.
And the thing is, no one can take away that experience that I had while I was vegan.
Mm-hmm.
Bro, the power I possessed at that time was unmatched.
I feel you.
Like literally, I used to go to the beach, plant my feet in the sand, and sun gaze before I go to work.
Yeah.
So when I get to work, I'm like energized. And even my coworkers
Yeah.
looking at me like,
you were probably glowing.
Bro,
They were
you're
like, "Yo,
happy to work?"
Superman's coming in."
you know what I mean? And,
Yeah.
and like I was at the point, pH 9.5 water, everything got to be non-GMO. I need to see the label. I'm gonna go research it and make sure that it's, you know, I had to research where my seeds come from and where
Yeah.
did they get the seeds from, because I knew about Monsanto and all these other companies, and it was just to the point where I could smell meat when it's fully cooked in its raw form, and it smells
Yeah.
so raw, and you know what I mean? So, but the energy that I had at that time was crazy. I was so powerful.
Yeah.
I never had like this droopy moment. I never had like this, I don't know,
Yeah.
the moments I have now.
Because and also think, man, bro, you were living your truth. You know what I
Absolutely.
mean? And I think that's when we find ourselves in one of our highest forms, is when you're living your truth, when you can go to sleep with a consciousness that goes, I did everything I could to get myself to the next level. And it is such a hard thing to sustain. That's what I'm realizing as I get older, is that it's like we're literally superheroes in a structure that's made for NPCs. Hate to use that word, but you know what I mean? Like every single person's a superhero that's been given this literal script that goes, and then you do this. And if you don't do this, we take away your house. We don't let you feed yourself. We take away all, you know, like they strip you of the freedoms that, I don't know. You know what I mean? Like I'm trying to wrestle with it as I navigate this. My mom calls it the Earth School, by the way, like Lyfe, which I love all the time.
fire.
It's Earth
I
School.
love that.
Earth School.
That's
I love
lit.
Because it's literally like I do feel that, because like we were talking about earlier, like I identify as a spirit, you know, I identify as a soul. So it doesn't end with this realm. I just get to go, hopefully graduate. I don't know. Sometimes
Yeah.
you get held back.
No, you definitely have things that you have to learn while you're in this life.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it's not necessarily about the end goal, right? Like you're an artist. It's not about making this painting. It's about, you know, just it's about the process of making the painting. It's not Kobe's mindset isn't like, I want to score 60 points and I accomplished it.
Yeah.
You feel me? It's about going out and being the best hooper every single day and taking on those challenges, because there are ways that you can cheat this life.
Totally.
There are ways that you can just cheat your way to money. You know, how many people are buying and selling Bitcoin and just like not providing any value or service to anybody?
Yeah.
But they're building up their bank account. They're doing whatever they have to do for self. But for others and for everything else, they're not really concerned with it. You know what I mean? So, yeah.
No,
I want to
that's-
know,
that's
how
good.
did you get into vegan?
So, okay, so in looking, right, like we're going back to that time where I was trying to find different ways to make myself feel better without taking medication. A big thing that I looked into was, it was with a lot of like Hinduism and a lot of like older cultures, they're vegetarian because of the idea of energy transfer. You don't kill something, and when these animals die, they have so much fear and anger inside of them. You take that on when you eat it. So I stayed away from meat. At first, I was like, all right, I'll stay away from meat. But I was still eating cheese and I was still drinking milk. And then I saw this documentary called Cowspiracy, which was like phenomenal, bro. I saw that probably like in 2014, where they made the connection of how the dairy industry, how cruel it actually is. And it's almost like, dude, it's pretty horrendous compared to the meat industry. Because like with these female cows, bro, like a cow gives milk because it's a pregnant female, not because it's a cow. Like it's because it's pregnant. They artificially inseminate that cow. So they low-key rape that cow. Yeah. They get it pregnant. As soon as it gives birth, they separate it from that baby. Usually, depends on what the person wants to do, they'll crate that baby and make his limbs so weak that they can kill him and sell him as veal because it's soft, tender baby cow flesh. If it's a female, they'll raise it so that it can become an actual dairy cow later on the line. So after watching Cowspiracy, that really opened up my eyes, and I decided right then and there, I'm going vegan. And luckily, I had a support group. I had my brother and my sister and my mom, and all of us went vegan at the same time.
Ooh, cheat codes.
Dude, I would, if you're going to do any type of lifestyle change, find someone who's as passionate about it as you are and stick with that person, and you guys become accountability buddies. Even if it's something like fitness. If you have someone else that can hold you accountable, you guys start working off of each other. And I think that like teamwork makes the dream work in that respect. And man, that was in 2014. So I haven't eaten any flesh, you know, any body part of an animal since
you've been
2011.
Since 2011.
Yeah, 2011, and that's what year is it now? and straight up, it was so crazy because at the time that I transitioned, my grandmother was still alive, and she was so scared I was gonna die. She was so like, "Hey, what's up, Jim?" She was just. Her understanding and her school of thought was that you're going to die without eating animals. And dude, I've been like this for 10 plus years and I'm still alive, I think. So, yeah.
Nah, that's cool, man. That's hella cool. Bro, you're a very interesting person.
Thanks, man.
You are art. You're a walking art.
You know, it's unfinished, but I'm still working on it.
At least you don't have the milk on your lips.
Yeah, nah, man. Nah, just, it's crazy because, dude, I honestly feel that everybody is an art piece. This whole world, this whole experience that we're having is art. Yep. And it's all about whether we choose to embrace the creativity, embrace the process, or fight against it. Like, man, your life is a canvas, paint it how you want. But don't blame anybody else for what you end up getting because it's all on you.
That's right, man. So listen, we gonna go ahead and wrap this up, bro. It was a pleasure having you on the show. And guys, I'm not gonna lie. If you learned anything today, you need to stay away from meat.
Stay away from
Number
meat.
one thing, stay away from meat. I never looked at it like that. Well, even when I was a vegan.
Yeah.
Which was so crazy.
If you guys are interested in anything that I said, please check out the rest of my art. You know, my Instagram is Choice Artist. I do a new piece practically every week that talks about different reasons why you should go vegan, and also things that I learned as I continue this journey. You know, nobody's perfect. There's no like absolution, but it's all about progress. And I invite you all to experience that and make the choice for yourself.
And you also do tattoos as well, too?
Yeah, I do tattoos. So if you want
so
some,
where can they find you? Is it the same page?
No, that would be Choice Tattoos. I'm in Fort Lauderdale. I'm stationed out of Fort Lauderdale, and I use all vegan equipment and materials. In case you're wondering, yeah.
Die hard.
Let's
I'm
go.
telling you, let's do it. Nah, I love that, man. I love that you motivate and inspire me. And even with your story, when you was talking about that, you know, that dark walk you went down. The only thing I could think about is the people that's still going through it.
Yeah, absolutely. And I hope that if there's anybody who's watching this that is in that dark room, right, that it's a journey and it can't happen overnight, but that you do have the power to get out of it. No matter what anyone tells you, it's your choice whether or not you let it consume you or whether you overcome it. And don't be afraid to reach out to people, to ask for help and to express it, but find that one little thing that gives you joy and ride it, man. Yes. Embrace it, tackle it, full force. Don't care if anyone thinks you're crazy. Don't care if anyone thinks you suck. Just find that little thing that gives you joy and draws you closer to the higher power and follow it. You'll get out of the darkness that way. Follow the light.
Absolutely. And that's your call to action right there. You heard it from his mouth, his self choice. Now you have a choice. Mick, I want to hear what you have to say. I need you to let them know what they need to do, man.
My twin over here.
Yeah, we brothers from another.
Hey, can
from
you
another
swap the camera so these people can see how much
Was
they
anybody
resemble each other?
confused at home? Like they were like, "Did that guy is he talking to himself?"
No, we really mirror images of each other. We all are, you feel me? So
Facts.
But it's funny. So somebody thought we were brothers the other day, and I just kind of went with it. I was like, yeah, that really is, my spiritual brother in the kind of way. And I feel like all of us, when you connect with somebody, like there's just that when you have that feeling of just familiarity right off rip, like, man, I knew you from somewhere type thing. So and I feel like that kind of goes into just like trusting your own judgment, trusting your intuition, kind of like training those more like subtle aspects of yourself that aren't necessarily brought into physical reality all the time. And just being meditative and being self-reflective, because to have that creation and to have that like creative force, you need to have that like reflective also mind state to balance yourself out. You know what I mean? Because you could burn yourself out. You could burn yourself out very easily if you're just going pushing. And I feel like all of us as artists have that instinct of just like, I got so much inside of me that I just want to create and put out and I want to share with the world. But just, I mean, it's self-care really.
Absolutely,
you know what I mean?
bro.
It's self-care and self-love and just like, having courtesy for your spirit and just like your energy. So man, recharge yourself. That's my call to action.
Beautiful.
Recharge yourself. You know what I'm going to tell you. Like, comment, subscribe, do all that good stuff. All right. Why? Because there's an actual gold mine where you can get endless of what you're witnessing right now. Everything you're getting right now, you can get endless access to it. You can follow us on Instagram, Lyfe After Podcast, LYFE After Podcast, on every platform except Twitter, I think. I think on Twitter somebody have our name, which is we're gonna have to go through some legal stuff to get that back.
I'll call Elon.
We're coming. I'm just. But listen, no, seriously, go and subscribe. And I need you to really consider your diet, consider your health, consider the health of your spirit as well too. You are 50-50. You are not 100% man, and you are not 100% spirit. You need to feed your soul, feed your spirit, just as much as you feed your body. You don't want one overpowering one. We already dealing with as much as we dealing with here in the physical. Let's kind of like be mindful that, you're incompleted.
Yeah.
Let's try to chase perfection, even though we know, well, do y'all believe in perfection? So, no. Yes.
Perfection is a momentary thing. You can be perfect in a moment, and in the next moment, if in another mindset, you're not perfect. So perfect is never, persistent.
So in other words, chase perfection.
Yeah.
And listen, thank you guys for tuning in today's episode. It's a lot more where that came from. Y'all stay tuned, follow, like, subscribe, stay in tune with my brother Choice, and stay away from meat.
Yeah. All right, y'all.